Welcome to Parnell Park for this go-ahead Senior 1 Dublin Club Football Championship encounter of Raheny and Lucan. It is a rather complicated picture in the group. In the other game going on in O'Toole Park at the same time as this, Thomas Davis take on Cuala. Thomas Davis are on 4 points, having played 2 games. Raheny on 2 points, having played 2. Cuala on 2 points, having played 2. And Lucan Sars have no points. They've got a points difference of minus 14. It is possible that you could have 3 teams on 2 points at the end of today. And if that happens, it's then decided on a mini league table between the 3 teams that are on the same amount of points. If 2 teams are on the same amount of points, then it goes down to a head-to-head between those 2 teams. We'll try and explain as we go along. But Paul Clark, I think to simplify things, it would be easier for us if Thomas Davis and maybe Raheny won. But of course, football doesn't always work out like that, does it? As we saw yesterday with a close call for Kilmacud Crokes and St. Vincent somehow snatching victory against Nafina.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, if we got anything like the excitement and energy that Skerry's Harps provided and Vincent's finish as well in their game, we'll have a great game today. Yeah, I suppose everything is very fluid at this moment in time. We can't set in stone what's going to happen. We just have to see how players adapt as the games go on and the scores come through from O'Toole Park. And, you know, other teams can't be looking at what other teams are doing. You have to look after your own house and keep it in order and get the result and then let it take its course after that.
Well, all the teams can do is concentrate on getting a victory. It might be enough for Lucan. It might be enough for Raheny. We just don't know yet. And we will keep an eye on what's going on elsewhere. Let's take a look at the teams. We will start with Lucan. Well, Liam Byrne between the sticks. Zach Delmar has been playing good stuff this season, just out of minor. Colin Behan has been one of their players of the season so far. We all know what Darren Gavin is capable of in midfield. And of course, Brendan Gallagher, a very experienced and wily forward. He can break lines, he can beat defenders, he can get scores, as can Harry Ladd. Darren Newcombe, a sturdy presence at fullback.
Yes, Lehman Goal, they've been chopping and changing keepers right through the campaign this year. Darren Newcombe holds number 3 really well, a fine footballer, but like he's not afraid to attack when he gets the opportunities. And then you have guys kind of covering that position. Midfield, you know, 2 strong midfielders. You know, they'd be a competition for any opposition. Darren Gavin, a really athletic player, very unassuming. Made a decision a couple of years ago. You know, really when he should be maybe pushing into a Dublin team, that he stepped away from it and concentrating on club, and you know he's other. You know, things going on with family life and business, and we wish him the best of luck on that. Sean Cleary at midfield as well can get forward and get scores, got a goal recently as well in Championship. And then up front, as you said, there's a consistency with Brendan Gallagher and his frees, Harry Ladd get his scores as well. And they have 1 or 2 on the bench that can add a little bit of firepower.
Let's take a look at that bench. One name that I guess jumps off it is Sean Newcombe, a very experienced player. Rob Ennis, around a couple of seasons as well.
Yeah, Sean Newcombe was a fine footballer and you know, surprising that he's not starting, but a great addition to bring into the defence and tidy things up, and he'll probably bring in a bit of instruction as well and composure. Alan Murphy, a guy who's come on as well in previous games and scored 1-1. A little bit of a threat there, so you know, when you have that it's great to have, and then you know, probably a bit of energy and legs to bring in.
Right, let's take a look at the Raheny team. There is a big name missing off it. Raheny down Brian Howard, but they do have Brian Fenton, they do have Brian Talty, so that's a very sturdy midfield. Rob Henley, of course, the Mayo goalkeeper, capable of kicking long-range scores. Rutherson Reel, a lively presence at wing-back. And Sean McMahon, of course, well, look what he did with Dublin this season.
Yeah, Rob Henley will be, you know, obviously we talk about kick-out strategies, what he's going to do. He's going to go long, he's going to go short. Most club teams may not have come across the length of kick that he has, so you know, Lucan had to be very careful that they don't push up on a kick-out, because he could clearly land the ball in the opposition half. Change at full-back with Liam Fahey coming in for David Shotwell. Sean McMahon will hold number 6 and be very strong there, but then he makes great bursts forward. What he does at the end of it now, it's unknown. Sometimes he can over-carry it, but if he lays off to a shooter, you're guaranteed scores. great partnership at midfield. That's why I think that the two teams going on at midfield today, I'd like to see how that contest goes. Brian Taldy can get up and down the pitch, a recent Ironman triathlete. So, you know, probably a bit like his father, there's a bit of development in him as well, and he'll, you know, put it about. And then up front, they've plenty of scoring threats with Darren Lunny, and Patrick Reid has come on previously in other games and got scores too, so that's an interesting starting line for them.
And there's the bench, a little bit light. They haven't filled it out. Gavin Ivory, an experienced campaigner. James O'Kane, also capable of coming in and making a difference.
Yeah, Gavin Ivory is well able to get scores and come on and is a threat in itself. James O'Kane is a big guy, and you know, if the guys run out of legs at midfield, he can go in there, and if you need him at the edge of the square, he probably could go in there too. So as you said, a little bit light. You haven't filled in 16 and 18, which is a surprise. But maybe they hope and know that what they have on the bench is enough for them to get through this.
Our referee, by the way, is Liam Ahern-Clark. Coming up later here in Parnell Park is Ballymun against Ballantyre. That game will be live on TG Car, and they will keep you abreast of everything that's happening in that group. Ballyboden, by the way, already guaranteed top spot in that group, Group 1, because they've beaten both Ballantyre and Ballymun. If it's a draw between Ballymun and Ballantyre, Ballymun go through on scoring difference, but the winner will go through. That will be live on TG Car later at Ballymun against Ballantyre. I bet you're sorry you didn't pay more attention in Irish class now. We're about to get underway. Brian Howard, sadly, moving up and down that sideline on the far side in crutches and a brace on his leg, so he's definitely not available today for Raheny. He's a huge, huge loss, isn't he, Paul?
Yeah, for sure. I suppose anybody that's here at the game, we're always hoping to see Brian play. He's such an athletic guy, and he's had a brilliant year this year. I thought he was in the best shape of his life and playing the best football ever. And it's a big disappointment for any supporters here. And disappointing for him too, but you know, if it's an injury that needs to be dealt with, it's dealt with now, and he'll be ready to go next year for Dublin.
So Rahini in the mostly white, Lucan in the green and white.
We need our DIY man again, and the medic from Raheny is coming in to do a little bit of work on the nets at the golf club end. Umpires just raised a bit of an issue there, so Liam has gone down, the ref has gone down to check that out.
Well, if it can happen in Croke Park, it can happen in Parnell Park. They're doing a last-minute operation on the nets just to make sure they're okay. Lucan taking on Rahini here, and we'd love to hear from you ahead of this game or during this game. You can join the conversation via social media. Go ahead DSC. So that's hashtag Go Ahead DSC. Will we get the excitement that we got yesterday? We very well could. And as I say, we will keep you in touch with everything that's happening in the other game in this group, because it does have relevance potentially to both of these teams, or very certainly one of these teams. I'd say players now just want to get it underway, don't they?
Very quick getting the football out to the middle.
So a big day of sports in the capital. Ireland taking on Holland a little bit later on in the European qualifiers. A big game of football to play before that here in Parnell Park. Two, in fact. Another one coming up later. Raheny looking to secure the possession, and they have done so. And then it slipped out of the hands, and Lunny grabs it. He's bottled up by Delmar, a man we spoke about earlier on. Kicked ahead by Brian Talty. Talty collects it on the run. It wasn't easy to do. Talty outside to Sean Grenham. Grenham spots Fenton in a bit of space. He's capable of letting one go from here, Fenton. He's covered by Darren Gavin. Instead moves it out to Rutherson Reel. Reel continues his run. Will he get it back? Fenton is free outside the 45, but they'll bring it closer to goal. Can they hang on to it or get the free? No, they can't. It somehow is hacked forward. It just got away from McAweeney there. It was a clever attempt by Alan McLaughlin to find McAweeney, but Lucan have the ball back and they'll counter-attack. Helped on by Gallagher. Gavin. Gavin outside to Bruton. Bruton assesses the options. Chips one and a lot for Harry Ladd, and it goes wide. The intention was for Harry Ladd to run onto it, but he just couldn't quite get there.
Lucan, you know, getting numbers back there when Raheny went on the attack, and they worked the ball quickly up the pitch themselves.
Glenn McNamara goes short. Good take by Sean Grenham. Here's Brian Fenton. Fenton goes for the long delivery. It's an accurate pass. It's a good pass. Here's McLaughlin. Moves it off for the running Ivers. Oh, what a goal! Really well worked. Really well taken.
Yeah, you can see actually when Brian Fenton got the ball, he had his back to the play as in where he wanted to pass it, but he had awareness before he received it what pass he wanted to make.
Well, that is quite the start from Lucan, and a wonderful, wonderful finish from Cian Ivers. Here's Gavin. Raheny with a wonderful, wonderful goal. Long way to go. Lucan will not panic, that's for sure and certain. Trying to break his way through is Jack Lawler. Lawler is bottled up and Fenton juggles the ball and gets it back. Now it's moved on to Sean Grenham. Grenham goes outside to Rutherson Reel. Brian Fenton. Talty just takes his time. Fenton. Reel. Reel picks out a free man. Now how he got that free I'm not sure. Here's Ivers, whose confidence is flying high after the goal. Has he shanked that or is it okay? Well, it was on target, it just didn't have the legs.
Yeah, Raheny players are getting a lot of space inside. We thought at the initial attack Lucan getting so many bodies behind, but since then they seem to be at 6 and 7s trying to get players back, and it's not happening for them.
That's a good take out in front. Harry Ladd. Ladd showing good footwork, has an option, will take it on himself though. Harry Ladd squeezes one over.
Yeah, good score. Had to do it all himself. Stood up the full back and threw a little dummy on a great score off his left foot.
One score each, but Raheny's being a goal means that they're in front by 2. Here's Grenham. Ball drifting in. Will they be able to find Lunny? They have Lunny. Could have maybe taken on the shot for a goal, but did the smart thing, just put it over the crossbar.
Isn't it so interesting the way Rob Henley just has the ball ready, tee ready to get it going quickly every time. You can't rest on your laurels. You can't hope that you're doing the right thing. The ball is down, it's out. Raheny are on the attack straight away.
Clawed away by Ivers. Byrne. It's a fast start by Raheny, isn't it? Talty. Running after it, McAweeney. Good work by Bruton. Just kind of pushed him out wide, but McAweeney has it in hand again. Has an option there in full forward, Patrick Reid. Reid, he's picked out Lunny. Lunny keeps it in place somehow, or does he? No, he doesn't.
Conditions are really good for today's game. No breeze at all. The other parts of the city have been getting lashing rain and thunderstorms, but still very dry in Parnell Park. No breeze to talk about.
And nice and cool today. Yesterday it was baking hot. And I think it did affect players, certainly in that first game. Colin Walsh moved on to Gavin. He covers a lot of ground. Has he picked out Ladd? He has. Harry Ladd! A beautiful finish by Harry Ladd after a good setup by Darren Gavin.
Super hand pass by Darren Gavin. He opened up the space. Brian Fender put a bit of pressure on him, but it was a great hand pass in over the top and very well taken.
Well, we mentioned him before the game. You now know why. Rutherson Reel. Liam Fahey pushed over there. Reid was fouled, or was he? No. We're coming back.
Yeah, it was just 5 yards forward and where the free had been given away.
Taken by Reid. Twisting and turning and maintaining his composure, finding his man, that was Talty. Here's Brian Fenton. Fenton with a nice goose step. Fenton, he's got a beautiful glide, doesn't he? A bit like Darren Gavin on the other side, actually. Here's Rutherson Reel. And as you said before the game, it did look like at one stage that Gavin and Fenton could be a midfield partnership for Dublin. The pass is picked out to Reid, who pops it off. Can Raheny find a score? Yes, they can. It was McElweeney. Probing there was Lawler in case it dropped, but it didn't. They'll have to settle for the point.
And he just added more woe to the referee and our groundsman, because player ended up in the net there, and Darren Lunyon pulled the net off the crossbar.
Well, you know what, while we get that net fixed up, let's have a look at the 2 goals that we've seen so far. 2 really good goals.
Yeah, if you go back to Brian Fenton, had his back to the play when he received it, but he knew exactly what he was doing before he received the ball. Maybe a point could have been taken, but it was great composure. Laid off, and a fine finish bottom corner. Really hard to stop that. Darren Gavin made a great run here. Brian Fenton came from his side to put the pressure on, but it's a perfectly placed hand pass in over the top. Fullback got caught out. Low to the ground, you'd have thought Rob Henley really had it covered, but he didn't. And, you know, great start to the game. Not even 10 minutes gone. Nip and tuck, goals galore. Some good contests. And some DIY workmanship.
Am I allowed to bring up something completely irrelevant? Congratulations to the Ardmore Hurlers who won the junior county title yesterday in Waterford. Everything in GA, everything in politics is local. That's the original home club. I missed out on the celebrations because of work.
The bonfire's still burning. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well they'll keep it going until I get home earlier in the week, hopefully. The 2 Prendergasts, Seamus and Declan, who soldiered for Waterford for many years, played a big part in that.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you're into racing, but Patrick Gleeson, very good hurler with the club. Don't think he was around, as I say, didn't get to the game because of our commitments here. But
with the pull that you have, could Dubs TV not travel down and cover that game? No,
we could. Yeah, we'll cover our Munster campaign maybe.
Okay,
yeah.
Good call.
I'd say the good mood Mossy would have been in after yesterday's game. We could put off anything.
Yeah,
I've suggested a team building trip to Las Vegas. I'd say he'll give it the approval after yesterday.
We did build up that left-footed pass so much, and you know, there'll be some sort of Ballon d'Or award for him, you know, for something like that.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it back, I'm sure you're aware of the result at this stage. St Vincent's and Afina is definitely worth a watch back. Crokes and Skerry's Harps, a good game as well. Skerry's Harps gave Crokes plenty of it, and were slightly unlucky in the end.
I hope that now delay hasn't affected what we're going to have for the rest of the game. And then don't forget, I think in 5 minutes' time you're going to have a water break. So I hope it's not going to be a stop-start type of game.
Here's Colin Walsh. That's a snapshot. Just not quite enough on it from Jack Lawler. Good turn, good pivot, but needed a bit more on it. Here's Talty. Fenton. Raheny working it out. It's busy out there. Back inside from Darren Byrne. Here's McElweeney. 1 point to his name so far. Well taken by Sean McMahon. McMahon driving on. He loves those driving runs, doesn't he? Here's Reid. Misses his pass, but it does come to Byrne, who kicks it wide on the near side. Just didn't get across it, maybe.
Yeah, that was your centre back and your wing half back pushing up the pitch and supporting the forwards. If you want to go up there, you want to put the ball dead, great. But when you want to put it over the bar, it's a good opportunity and a poor miss. Probably should correct myself when I say Brian Talty is an Ironman. It was his brother Connor. He won't be too happy if I didn't correct that. He's his Ironman medal.
They're both made of metal, the two lads.
He didn't lick it off a stone.
That's true. Here's Delmar. Gavin. What can Lucan do? Behan. Cleary. Delmar. No, Emmett O'Keneal, of course, for Lucan. Big loss. Here's Darren Newcombe. As you mentioned before the game, can get forward from that fullback position. Here's Colin Walsh. An update from O'Toole Park coming in a second after this phase of play finishes. Here's Gavin. Can he finish it with the score? No. And Ladd couldn't keep it in play. Ten minutes gone at O'Toole Park. Coola 1-4. Thomas Davis 4 points. When the ball goes dead, we'll have a look what that means for the group. Here's Grenham. Grenham, it slipped out here. Could he get another goal? It's McAweeney. McAweeney! It's a good block. Well, they'll be desperately disappointed not to have got something out of that attack.
That shot was wide by Derek Gavin. 3 seconds, and Henley had the ball on the tee and kicked out to exactly the halfway line. 3 seconds.
Wow. Here's Lawler. Dispossessed somehow. Really good play by Raheny. Handled well by the goalkeeper, Rob Henley. Raheny try and play it out. That's risky enough. Comes off the chest of Sean McMahon. Taken back by Sean McMahon on the break. Gavin kind of with that octopus tackle. Fahy guides it backwards. Well taken by Ben McHugh. Making a run as Ivers. He'll have time to run onto this. Well, he actually pushed it into the path of Fenton again. I think it was more accidental than by design, but it worked out. McLaughlin. Talty. Glenn McNamara. Helped it onto Lunny. Good interchange. Sean McMahon. Wanting it is McAweeney. He was dispossessed, but using his soccer skills is Sean Grenham. He touched it on the ground and it's a free out.
Yeah, 5 or 6 hand pass in a small area. The ball wasn't really going anywhere. They got himself in a little bit of trouble and turned over it easily.
They're on the attack. Here's Colin Behan. Gavin running beside him. Behan might do it all himself. Goes out to Harry Ladd, who's having a stormer so far. And that stormer continues. Harry Ladd now on 1-2. All of Lucan's scores coming from the boot of Harry Ladd so far. Patrick Reed. Dinky pass towards McAweeney. He's going to be beaten to it. Well read by Derek Cahill, who's fouled. So, to try and give you some kind of update, it's level here, which would mean Raheny and Lucan. Raheny will be on 3 points. Lucan will be on 1 point. But Coola would go through with Thomas Davis because they're currently beating Thomas Davis. So as it stands, Davis and Coola go through. But there is a long way to go yet. Here's Harry Keogh. Gavin. Taken by Ladd. Ladd looking to make it 1-3. Just didn't catch it right. Good marking though by Raheny. He was followed all the way.
He's getting a lot of freedom out in front of his man. You know, and there's some fine play to work around and get the ball to him. He seems to be the solo scoring threat at this moment in time.
Henley goes short to Rutherson Reel. It's great to see Henley playing back at the top level of club and also for Mayo as well, because he had that horrible experience that he wrote about in an All-Ireland final. A lot of guys might have disappeared and never been seen on a football pitch again, but not him. Fenton. Gavin chasing. Fenton cutting through. Still Fenton. Fenton! Good score by Brian Fenton.
Yeah, when he got around him, he cut across in front of him, so Dara couldn't do anything at all. It's just at this point here, when he cuts across in front, you know, it's either foul or let him go. And, you know, that's Brian Fenton at his best. Just that bit of power and pace that he has.
Well, the water breaks were implemented for the weekend, so even though it's a bit cooler today, we're still going to go with them. Let's have a look at the goals. They've both been really good. And it was a chance or two as well. So Raheny's goal finished really well by Ivers, and this is what started the game. This was the first score of the game.
Lucan were caught out there because their cornerback had gone up the pitch, and it was the right half forward was back trying to cover that man.
Gavin had a look up, saw Lad inside. Lad peeling off the defender and putting it home. Now this could have been, maybe should have been a goal. Sean Grenham, McEweeny. And in fairness to Lucan, they got back in numbers there, didn't they?
There's a couple on the line that would have been fairly lucky now if he got through there and got the goal between the keeper and the cornerback. Were able to make the decisive block. Can lift the team if the heads are a little bit low. And you could see the energy the keeper, kept the ball in play, and then he went on an attack almost straight away after that.
Thomas Davis trailing Kula at the water break in O'Toole Park, 1-4 to 5 points. Rahini winning here. That means both Kula and Rahini will be on 4 points. And that means that it will be a three-way logjam at the top of the group because 3 teams will be on 4 points. Here's Reid. Reid tries to pick out his man. He does! And he gets a hand to it, and that's a goal. Diving after it was Ivers to get his second goal. Real did brilliantly in the build-up there. Reid.
Reid is coming out off the full forward line and given options for kickouts, and that time as well he came right out top of the D. There's an option for the pass. Very well worked team score there. Great catch by Sean McMahon in midfield. Won a ball easily above Derek Gavin. That's not easy to do.
Well, I think Ivers should treat Alan McLaughlin to a box of biscuits or something after this game because he set him up for 2 goals now. Can Lucan respond? Kyo slips one towards Lad, but it gets away from Lad. Fahy, he's fouled free out.
They're looking for Lad all the time to get on the end of any attack and be their score getter, like they think they have 1 or 2 other options apart from him.
Sean McMahon. Well, it's no surprise that Kula are making a fight of it against Thomas Davis. They're leading in that game. They were slightly maybe unlucky against Kilmacud Crokes last season. Was it the quarter-final I think they met in? That's a good dispossession. Here's Colin Walsh sending it down the line. Jack Lawler. Lawler might just settle for the point. He does. Good score by Lawler.
Great tackle. Turnover. Exposed in defence. And then that's your other player you wanted to get scores. Another full forward. So what we asked for, we've got.
And he becomes the first player that isn't Harry Ladd to score for Lucan today so far. Henley goes to Real. Talty. McMahon. Real. Real is fouled, free out. Taken quickly, much to the surprise, I think, of cornerback Ben McHugh. All works out in the end, though. Fenton. Fahy runs onto it. Just goes over the head of Ivers, who's on a hat-trick. Keep in mind, here's Gavin. Lucan moving it through the lines. Spruden. Good take by Brendan Gallagher. A man they'd probably want closer to goal, but he can make those kind of deep, fast runs. Ladd, left completely unmarked. Ladd turning. Darren Newcomb. Newcomb to Luke Walsh. Luke Walsh misses.
Yeah, there's actually gaps, a lot of gaps in either full-back line. And the shape is a bit unusual, who's picking up what players. And, even though at this stage you see Lucan, their midfielder. Sean Cleary's gone back to centre half back, and Colin Walsh has actually pushed up an awful lot more into the full forward line even, and he's bit of a nuisance. He's chasing and hassling and harrying and forcing those turnovers.
It looks like a decent ball. It's well taken by Lawler. Falls kindly for Colin Walsh. Colin Walsh pops it off. Gallagher, goal!
As I just mentioned, Colin Walsh is up there. He's up there for a reason and laid off. And you know, you'd always tell players to keep it low and hard. And Henley got a little bit of something on that, but enough to stop it. Just inside his left elbow, was unable to stop it.
It's a goal fest so far, and we're level again.
The way it's going, I don't think that'll be the last goal we score today.
Level for the third time in this game. Lunny. Good ball. McElweeney. Reid continued his run. McElweeney trying to make space and an angle for a shot. Well, we'll say that's a high ball up towards the 20. Left behind, and Lucan take it. Sean Cleary. Colin Walsh. Darren Newcombe moved it outside. Oh, it's fumbled by Luke Walsh. Most un-Luke Walsh-like. Just took his eye off it. Reid, well taken by Sean McMahon. Reid, Fenton. Fenton, still going, has options. Fenton! Oh, he's unlucky. Gavin takes it. No protest from Raheny, so it didn't go behind the line. So they've scored 2 goals, Raheny. They could have had 2 more. Ladd is the intended target. Breaks kindly for Sean McMahon, who helps it off to Glenn McNamara. Glenn McNamara gives it to Darren Byrne. Darren Byrne chasing after it and keeping it alive. Trying to make his way out there is, I think that's Glenn McNamara. It was Glenn McNamara. Now it's Darren Byrne. It's a free out. Raheny trying to move it quickly. And another free conceded. Let's have a look at that Fenton chance.
Yeah. Doesn't look like he changed his pace at all, but you know, he just opened up, you know, the legs, strided through, probably thought about point. Now, come a little bit closer. Great strike. Came down, it must have been very, very close to the line. The umpires never really went to even signal or consult each other, but it must have been very close to coming on over the line.
Not sure the square crossbar helped him there.
Probably blame the Raheny kip man as they're putting all that tape on it, you know.
Here's Reid. Reid. That's a good finish by Reid. A well-worked score. A hard-won score.
He's a focal point actually to a lot of what's going on. His positioning, his availability for passes. He was the one that passed it to Brian Fenton for the last run, and he's had to get his own score and reward from him. He's doing really, really well.
Just about gathered by Harry Keogh, who's then fouled. Gavin. Well, as it stands, it's a draw that kind of uncomplicates things because Kula and Thomas Davis would go through if it stays as is in the group. Kula still leading against Thomas Davis. Brendan Gallagher.
Super tackle.
Of course, Raheny leading by a point now, so 3 teams on 4 points. And as I say, it goes down to a mini league between those 3 teams. The only results that are taken into account on the points difference there are the games against each other amongst that 3. McMahon. Not sure Grenham got the power on that he was looking for. Here's Alan McLaughlin. McElweeney kicks it wide.
We got maybe a little bit of a block on it. That's what stopped that. Another opportunity for Raheny. They like to, you know, they're missing easy opportunities there.
It's more like 23 minutes than 24 minutes because the clock didn't stop for the water break. So we've 7 minutes to go to the break, plus injury time. There's a bit more time than one would think. Sorry, it wasn't stopped for the net fixing. It was stopped for the water break. Here's Alan McLaughlin. McLaughlin with a good bit of work to do. Just goes back outside to Rutherson Reel. He fancies this. No, he doesn't. Sean Grenham, he fancies this. And it's a
man in a better position. He did look up. Someone a little bit more central, a little bit more time on the ball. That's a fair strike. They needed that, having missed 2 easy chances prior to it. And obviously a crossbar as well.
Gavin got his hand to it, but it's gathered by Ivers. Ivers aiming it towards Reid. Reid just runs out of pitch. Byrne. Wonderful kick out. Delmar. Bruton moved it on. Conor Gallagher, the goal scorer, one of the goal scorers for Lucan. Brendan Gallagher. Brendan Gallagher into the corner. That's Harry Ladd popping up. Harry Ladd up against the cornerback Ben McHugh. Harry Ladd. Good score.
Yeah, Brendan Gallagher's come down getting on ball, but it's really not for his reason, but it's actually to leave more 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 inside, giving Harry Ladd more space to get in and win a bit of ball and take guys on. Raheny haven't got someone to stop him just yet.
Wonderful play by Delmar to strip Lunny of the ball and then win the free. Gallagher. There's 2 players in or around the goal, but they're both covered, so he just goes to Conor Gallagher instead. Brendan Gallagher continues his run. He gets it back. Brendan Gallagher maybe trying to work an angle. He is. That's a good block though. Getting his hands on it was Darren Byrne. Talty. Ivers. Talty. Grenham. Fenton. Fenton just goes short. Here's Grenham. Patrick Reid is unmarked. Reid. Reid! Not sure if he was going for the goal or just settling for the point, but either way, it's a score.
Yeah, good support runners. Good hand pass to hand. I think he was thinking goal all right when the corner back slipped. He thought he had a chance and just didn't keep it down as actually take a leaf out of the Lucan books who are taking all their shots and keeping it low to the ground.
Well collected by Byrne. Fenton. Grenham. Left in acres of space. Grenham goes outside. What a goal from Alan McLaughlin. An incredible finish. Grenham could have taken the score on, but he saw out of the corner of his eye that McLaughlin was free. He still had an awful lot of work to do. It was still a difficult shot to take on, but take it on he did. And Rahini are glad that he did. 3-6 plays 2-4.
Yeah, there was a lot to do. But a left footer from that side, you know, he's kicking it across his body and across the keepers and took it really well. It was a very tight angle and a very good finish. I'm glad I wasn't wrong that I said there were going to be more goals in this game. I might say there might be 1 or 2 more.
I think he could be right. Fenton might be a couple of points as well. Is this going to be one of them from Fenton? It drifts all the way over. Great score by Fenton. Just gets away from cornerback Bruton there, but he is able to collect despite the pressure from McElweeney. Still going, Bruton. Trying to drift in behind is Jack Lawler. Colin Behan laid it off to Gavin. Gavin gallops on. Brendan Gallagher. Brendan Gallagher. Wide. Well, all of a sudden that 6-point gap has grown, or opened up, I should say. One-two without reply for Raheny. Ladd with the last score for Lucan. And that was only in the 26 minutes. So Raheny went on a scoring burst, I think it's fair to say, with a Reid point that actually could have been a goal. Then that McLaughlin goal. Then a beautiful Fenton point. Grenham. Queenie. Talty, cool as you like. I wonder will they seek to know the score of the other game at halftime, Raheny, because again, even if they win here, nothing is guaranteed. Real. McMahon slips the ball to Reid. Reid could have maybe given it to Ivers, but instead just kicked the score. Probably the wise option. His 3rd point from play.
Yeah, just peeled off the man here, turned his back, and then turned back in. Really, really good movement.
28 minutes gone in O'Toole Park. Could have won 9. Thomas Davis 8 points.
Now, there was a bit of a coming together a few moments ago. I don't know whether the umpire seen something. So it's a little bit of a tarnish on his performance. If he's going to get a yellow card here, he's definitely getting a good talking from Liam. Just earlier on in the play, there was a bit of a coming together. He must have got something from his linesman as umpire to confirm that, because Raheny management are talking to the linesman on the far side.
Kula, Raheny and Thomas Davis, as we speak, all on 4 points. It is then separated by a mini league between them. Delmar. Last year we had a situation where 2 teams were so tight they actually had to play off to see who went into the quarterfinal. They couldn't be separated by any metric. Darren Newcomb. Darren Gavin. Looking for Kyo. Falls for Brendan Gallagher. Brendan Gallagher squeezes that one over. His first of the game, and needed one for Lucan.
Yeah, a little bit of a miscontrol. But it bounced back up nicely for him. Lost it here. Came off the corner back and fell back nicely to him. Good finish.
And that's half time. Raheny 3-8. Lucan 2-5. A 6-point gap. How that 6-point gap occurred is hard to get your head around, because these two were kind of going at it step for step throughout the first half, but just towards the end of the half, Raheny picked up a couple of scores, 4 scores in a row, 1-3 in a row, and that's what has them separated. But Lucan haven't actually played that badly. It's one of those kind of odd situations. What are your thoughts on the game so far, Paul?
Yeah, my thoughts are that Patrick Reid is doing a great job for Raheny up front. He's a link man. He's coming out top of the square. He's been out top of the D. He's been out to midfield for kickouts. He's contributed a couple of scores himself, and he set up a few scores. And then the scores have been coming from, Brian Fenton and Cian Ivers, and from a number of players around the pitch. On the other side, Lucan have been really just relying on Harry Ladd, and it's only in the last moment there that Brendan Gallagher went inside and got a score for himself. So, the game is about scores. It's a very high scoring game. It's very open play. So if that's the case, you want to get your scoring players close into goal and into their range. And, those scores boards will be ticking over, I think, a little bit more. No one is going to sit back and rest on any laurels, even if Raheny hear what's going on elsewhere. They want to push on and get scores, and Raheny want to, set themselves up, thinking that they have a chance here. Because it is such an open game.
Well, you might be able to hear the thunder in the background on a stormy afternoon, or potentially soon to be stormy afternoon. The dark clouds are above Parnell Park. It's still quite warm out there. Raheny leading 3-8 to 2-5 in the other game in this group in O'Toole Park. At half time, Kula lead 110 to 9 points against Thomas Davis. That means that Kula, Raheny and Thomas Davis would all be on 4 points. Let's have a look at the highlights of the first half. And there's been some quality scores. Fenton with a really good delivery. This to build up to the opening score, which was that goal by Ivers. McLaughlin, who was to get a goal himself later, giving it to Ivers, who ran onto it and finished it beautifully. Ladd responded for Lucan. He's having a fine game. And this was a good point. Lunny was to get on the score sheet then for Raheny. Took it well, turned, popped it over. Good point by him. And it was kind of tit for tat at that stage. Gavin setting up Harry Ladd here. Brilliant pass, brilliant take, brilliant finish, brilliant goal. But Raheny responded as you would expect them to do. And this just got away from Lunny, but they had to settle for the point. Not a bad outcome in the end. Good surging run by Behan. Out to Harry Ladd. He's in good form today. He was never going to miss that. Fenton involved, as always, in everything good that Raheny do. Driving on. And just chipping it over. Cool as you like. Then they got another goal. Ivers again. Reid involved in the build-up. He's scored 3 points from play so far. Nicely set up by, I think that was McElweeney, or McLaughlin, I beg your pardon, who got the pass away, but it was Ivers who got the goal. Good turnover. Colin Walsh slipping it inside. This is Jack Lawler. And Jack Lawler got his only point so far. At that stage, it was 2-3 to 1-3. But then, Lucan did this. Good score by Conor Gallagher. 2-3 to 2-3. Fenton roaming forward. Fenton measuring, shooting, and absolutely clattering that woodwork, which is still shaking, I can tell you. But they didn't have to wait much longer for a score after that. Reid, powerful runner, good finisher, and just guided it home with that trusty left boot. Grenham popped up with the score then. Has been mainly a provider today, but got the score there. Lucan needed a response, and they did. After 26 minutes, Ladd made it a 1-point game with that point. But then a scoring burst for Raheny, a power play, as one might call it. Fenton went outside. Here's Grenham. Watch the runners inside Grenham. Reid. And Reid, I think he might have been going for goal, but he had to settle for the point. They didn't have to wait too long, though, for a goal. Grenham. Such a wily runner. Out to McLaughlin. Boom. What a finish. Then Fenton got in on the act again. While running away from goal, turning and kicking it back across the face of goal. That's a really good score. Reid getting his third of the game. And that's a really, really fine finish. A well-worked score. Got a yellow card just seconds later. They needed a score before the break, Lucan. They can't let Raheny get away from them too much. And they got that score just before half-time through Brendan Gallagher. His first of the game. Paul, what are you making of it?
Yeah, it's a bit of old school football. It's really open. There's lots of space in full back lines. No teams playing with +1. Marauding midfielders pushing forward. Cornerbacks having to look after themselves rather than being protected. And forwards taking really good scores and taking their goals very well. More of the same, please.
Half-time here, Raheny 3-8, Lucan 2-5. That's good for the score difference. That could be important. But of course, Lucan could come back in here and you never know. Over in O'Toole Park, Coola 110, Thomas Davis 9 points. As it stands, 3 teams would be on 4 points and they would have to be separated on the scoring difference between those 3 teams. The 4th team wouldn't come into it. We'll be back with the second half. Stay with us. Don't forget, you can join the conversation via the hashtag #GoAheadDSC. Welcome back to Parnell Park. As it stands, Raheny, Kula and Thomas Davis are all on 4 points, but it is Raheny and Kula who will go through on scoring difference. That could all change in the next half an hour. We did some very quick maths at the break just to try and keep you abreast as to what's going on. Just a reminder, just in case you're only logging on, if 3 teams finish on 4 points, it then goes down to a mini league between those 3 teams, and that mini league at the moment would have Raheny on top. Sean McMahon. Reid. I should say Raheny on top and Kula in second, by the way, just so you know exactly what's going on. Swept outside to Darren Byrne. Byrne, is he fouled by Ladd? Ladd, who had a very good first half. Down the line it goes to Behan. Remember, if Lucan win, they could play their way into the contention as well. So much could happen.
Robbie Yanis in for Lucan and James O'Kane in for Raheny. See numbers change there. I don't know who they're in for.
Okay. Ladd. On a hazy day in Dublin. It's still warm enough. It's heavy, isn't it? 3-8 to 2-5. Raheny leading. Ennis. Gave it outside to Sean Newcomb. Dara Newcomb. Remember, Lucan into the go-ahead senior hurling semi-finals. Well, it's looking good anyway, going into the last day. I think they've topped their group. Had to double-check that, but they're definitely into the knockout stages. Ball slipped into Harry Ladd. Ladd, can he hang on to it? No, he can't. The way it works in hurling is if you win your group, you go straight to the semis. If you finish in the second or third place positions, you go through to the quarterfinals. Grenham being chased down there by cornerback Derek Cahill. Well taken by O'Kane. Down towards Reid. Reid spots the run outside. That's the run of Lunny. Lunny inside. Ivers takes the point. 2-1 for him so far.
He went box to box there when the ball was turned over. He's actually inside his own 21-yard line, ended up on the finish.
Gavin has a runner outside. Gavin stays going. In behind it goes towards Ladd. Not just hanging on to it. Doesn't look under any pressure. Here's Newcomb. Sean Newcomb. Newcomb makes space, gets the shot away. Wasn't a particularly good one. Fenton. Liam Fahy. Fahy surging through the middle. Bit of an aimless pass. It was good marking by Rob Ennis, who just held up his man, but somehow Raheny get it forward. Collected now by Sean Cleary. Sean Newcomb is there as an out ball. Foul committed, free out. Brendan Gallagher. It's a bit aimless from Lucan. It's easily collected. Ben McHugh. Interestingly, Raheny stayed out on the pitch all throughout the half-time break, and we're doing warm-up drills in the last minute or two of the break.
Yeah. Stayed on their feet, kept moving. All the talking was done. It was a quiet little huddle they had, and got themselves going straight away.
If they win, then it was the right thing to do. If they lose, it wasn't. That's how it works, right?
Well, they didn't have, like yesterday, we had frisbee throwing games and soccer games going on, so there was no one actually on the pitch, so they had the comfort of that.
We should clarify that wasn't done by any of the teams. It was just 2 supporters who were throwing a frisbee around. Sean Newcomb looking on as McMahon gets the pass away. Grenham. O'Kane. Grenham wants it back, gets it back. Running ahead is Ivers. Instead it goes to Reid. Reid just pulled it.
I think Lucan have 3 subs actually on there at this stage. They made a bit of a sweep. Sean Newcombe, Robert Ennis and Alan Murphy, I think, are all on.
Okay. Gavin. Booming ball down the wing. Behan. Down towards Gallagher. Just saw a flash of lightning there. Glenn McNamara. Ivers. Real. Don't forget, coming up, by the way, at 4:15, Ballymun against Ballantyre. That's live on TG Car, and I can confirm Coleman Goggins is in the building. Here's Darren Byrne. Byrne pops it forward. Can they get the score? Yes, they can. It's Lunny, his second.
Yeah, good interplay there between the Raheny guys. Fellas are coming at pace. Ball to hand, it's always great. Put it out in front of you. Lucan heads are dropping a little bit now.
Raheny are just playing at a more intense level than Lucan at the moment, aren't they?
Lucan taking off Liam Fahy there, or Raheny taking off Liam Fahy. And the guy who started, David Shotwell, is in now as fullback.
O'Kane. O'Kane has Ivers running in behind. O'Kane still going, getting the pass away. O'Kane looked back as if to say, well, surely I had advantage. Referee just waving play on. Luke Walsh, Brendan Gallagher, Gavin. Gavin is tugged back by Real. It's a free. Gavin takes it quickly. He has found Harry Ladd. And it's a free in. And Lucan will get a much needed score here.
Interesting to see now. There's Rob Henley, and it was quick tactic and probably just calmed things down. Now they're well on top now at this stage.
Does Brendan Gallagher go for goal here? No, is the answer. Another change being made. Jack Lawler going off. On in his place, Matt Coogan. As it stands, not only are Lucan not going to progress to the quarterfinals, they will find themselves in the relegation playoffs. A little bit of afters between Fenton and Brendan Gallagher. Now they'll play on. Here's Ivers. Well taken by Grenham. Back to Ivers. Reid wants it. He's out in front. Talty. Short to Byrne. Here's Fenton. 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 Off the woodwork, he's unlucky. Second time he struck the woodwork today. Luke Walsh. Corner back onto it now, Derek Cahill. Brendan Gallagher. Gallagher looks down the line, sees Ladd as a target. Really well defended, very strong defending. Ben McHugh giving it the double fist clench celebration.
Yeah, Ben is a really tight marker and he's known for putting in big blocks. That was obviously a move by Raheny is to try and get him onto Harry Ladd, knowing that he is a bit of a threat.
Byrne. Fenton. Shotwell. Well taken. Here's Rutherson Real. Rutherson Reel up against Gavin. Lunny. Shotwell. Grenham. O'Kane. McLaughlin. Fenton. Talty. Reid. It's intercepted by Ennis.
It's a forced mistake he's really made today.
Harry Keogh. Off Reid.
Brilliant.
Well, he gave away the line ball, but to actually get in the way.
I don't know whether the linesman actually signalled it. I don't think the ball was out. Like, in fairness to him, he gave the ball away. He chased it back, hassled, harried, and got his hand in and turned the ball over, got it back. And I really don't think it was a sideline ball.
Here's Fenton.
Might have been for something else, but I didn't see anything or what happened there.
Fenton is just kind of bent over with his hands on his knees at the moment. He's walking back into play now. Sean McMahon. Raheny well on top, but they wouldn't want to lose Fenton. Tugged back there by Alan Murphy. McNamara. Back to McNamara. Byrne. Grenham. O'Kane watching on as Talty gets it down into the corner, and McLaughlin. Good pick up by McLaughlin. O'Kane. Fenton. Fenton slaloming through. Fenton's still going. Fenton's going to set it up, and it's pushed home by Lunny. Volleyball style.
I think Brian was drawing us into a false sense of security there, wondering whether he was injured or out of breath, and just like that, he began put on the afterburners, knew where he was stepping into bodies that he could get through there, and fine hand pass on, a good team finish.
1-2 without reply so far in the second half for Raheny. They're well in control. They're doing all they can, and they're boosting their score difference significantly as well. Here's Harry Ladd. Ladd. Lucan desperately need a score, but they will have to wait for one. Short to Reel. Sean McMahon. O'Kane. It's a good tackle. Hard work done by Rob Ennis, but still Raheny have it. O'Kane. Free in. And Rob Henley is coming up to strike it.
As well, we're in his range. It's good sod now in Parnell Park these days. I think it's kept very well. I think Dave Hendricks is doing the grounds work lately, and he should be very proud of it.
Henley launching it. Henley scoring it.
It's a great asset to have, you know, whether it be today or in the future. For Raheny to go through to the next round, it's always good to have someone that has long range kicking ability.
11 minutes gone in the second half of O'Toole Park. Kula 110. Thomas Davis 10 points. So Kula would be on 4 points. Raheny would be on 4 points. Thomas Davis would be on 4 points. But and as it stands, Raheny and Kula would go through in the top two. That is a giveaway. Here's O'Kane, fumbles it, gets it back. McLaughlin slips it through. Ivers looking for his third goal, and he's got it.
Yeah, poor kick out by the keeper. They made a change there. Patrick Reid went off, and Sean McCarthy came on, and it's a different dynamic to what Raheny were doing in their full forward line and the kick out strategy, but it was a bad kick out. Thought he'd lost it, originally a bit of a fumble, but ended up with that scoring threat and the hat-trick. The guy will walk away with an O'Neill size 5 at the end of the day.
Well, this looks done and dusted even with just over 15 minutes to go. 5-11 to 2-6. Just hasn't happened for Lucan in the second half. Ivers puts it over. He's having a really fine game, isn't he?
We get a water break now. I don't think there's anything really that Lucan can do or say to get themselves back into this game. It's either save a bit of faith here or a bit of face and not concede any more goals for starters. Raheny will just keep it ticking over, I think.
It was 3-8 to 2-5 at half-time. It's now at the halfway point of the second half, 5-12 to 2-6, and that kind of tells its own story. Raheny with 2-4 in the second half so far. Lucan with just 1 point. Let's have a look at the goals, because there has been some good ones.
Fento takes from deep, drives past one, gap opens up. Execute that hand pass. Good finish. This was a bit of a fumble. I thought the chance was gone and a point would be scored. Yeah, he's still a bit to do. A defender in front of him, goalkeeper, bodies back on the line, low and hard. Good finish too. They made his third goal. Should be very happy with his contribution so far today.
Well, Raheny looking good for a spot in the quarter-finals. Keep an eye out on the Dublin GA social media channels or indeed the website for confirmation as to when those quarter-finals will be played. It's hurling next week, by the way, the final round of fixtures in the round robin. Here's Brendan Gallagher. Lucan need a miracle. Lad can't get it. It's another fine piece of play by Ben McHugh. Then an unusual shank back to Rob Henley, but it works out. Shotwell. Fenton. O'Kane. Really slick movement. Here's Alan McLaughlin. McLaughlin with a few to aim at, including Lunny, who's looking for another goal, and he's got it. 2-2 for Lunny now.
Nearly every line in your team played a part, and not a cornerback wins and gives it to a goalkeeper who passes it to a midfielder who gives it to a full forward and lays off to it. So all your players involved, end-to-end stuff, and a super team score.
2 second half goals for Lunny. Raheny cruising. Hand in there from Grenham, still hungry for it. Making a burst is Colin Walsh. Darren Byrne dispossessing him. O'Kane. McLaughlin is the target, just goes over his head and behind him. Derek Cahill does well to hold him off the ball. Lucan about to make another change. Lucan, who are now heading for the relegation playoffs.
Going into that situation now and on a heavy defeat like this, if it's going to continue, doesn't help the head. It doesn't help the motivation going to their next training session and a couple of weeks build up, and then obviously their club team and the senior hurlers as well involved in different competitions.
Liam Byrne. Not much he could have done about any of the goals. Liam Byrne, it's always, I suppose, not great looking for a goalkeeper if they concede 6 goals, but in fairness, they were all good finishes. And I don't think there's any of them that you would put down to a goalkeeping mistake.
I might, yeah. He did make one kick-out mistake, which caused the goal to happen. So,
well, certainly a mistake in certainly a mistake in the lead in, but regards actual shot stopping.
The finishes were good.
Yeah. McLaughlin. That's a great ball to Fenton. Fenton, he wanted to drive on, he wanted to go for goal, but they'll have to settle for a free and most likely a point. At the water break, there's one between them in O'Toole Park. So it's Coola 110, Thomas Davis 12 points.
Well, it's going to be a yellow card, or is it a bit cynical to be black card?
Well, he didn't bring him to ground or go to ground with him, so he might avoid a black card. Yellow for Rob Ennis. Busy day of football here in Parnell Park. Ballantyre against Ballymun coming up next. That will be live on TG Cahir, by the way. Ivers drifts it over. 6-13 is not bad scoring, is it?
Alan McLaughlin there going off.
He's had a fine game. They've scored some good goals. I think his is my favourite of them.
Yeah.
McLaughlin, yeah. We'll get another look at them in a while.
Yeah, it's across his body, right across the keeper, finishing the corner, very tight angle.
Ivers might argue with that, considering he scored 3. They were all good, but his was, I suppose, camera-wise, spectacular. Here's Ivers.
And the bench from Raheny have been more effective. Their work rate, support runs, and contribute to other players getting on the scoreboard. And they've been really good.
Fenton didn't quite catch it right. Shouldn't matter too much. All this done by Rahini without Brian Howard, who, well, judging by the fact that he's got his leg in a brace, he's on crutches, won't be available for the quarter-final, but they've played well today. Grenham trying to leave Gavin behind. Grenham, that's a good block, but he had the free anyway.
Yeah, not too sure about that. I hope he was trying to get a strong hand in and across, and I don't know, maybe he was over his shoulder. That's what he was given for.
It's hard for the Lucan players out there. They've put in a big effort all season. I don't think there's any senior club footballer who doesn't. But now they face the relegation playoffs.
Raheny are sort of set up for a zonal defence on these kickouts. They have 3 guys inside, sort of 4 across the half-forward line. They have 3 across midfield. Rob Henley had come up even in behind them, but they have a shape and a bit of a structure. Brian Fenton is orchestrating it, and they know exactly where they want to be for these kickouts.
3-7 to 1 point in the second half. Lucan have offered very little in a scoring sense in the second period. But this group's still not settled given what's going on in O'Toole Park, and we will keep an eye out on that game. We will keep the score updates coming through, and best we can, we'll try and update you on what it means for the table. Can Lucan put some respectability on the scoreboard? Just Colin Walsh. Gallagher. Flash wide. Knew he had to go first. In fairness to him, did take it on. It'll be tough for Lucan to figure out exactly what went wrong in the second half. They were trailing by, was it 6 at half-time? But did, an awful lot of good things in that first half, but just the second half has not in any way, shape or form gone their way. Raheny have been excellent. Shatwell looking down the line, running onto it is Cuan Malone. Grenham. O'Kane, who's made a big difference. He has been lively since coming in. Talty. Ben McHugh. Shatwell. O'Kane has Byrne outside. Picks out the pass for Fenton, who's got into the full forward line. Good take in the corner by Reel. Malone. Fenton. 21 minutes gone, by the way, in O'Toole Park. Still Coola lead, 112 to 12 points. Here's Ivers. Well taken. Free out. Raheny. Well, they've been running the bench throughout the second half. And heading off is Lunny. 2 goals and I think 4 points to his name today. Not a bad showing for the corner forward.
Sean Hendrick on there now, I think.
Derek Cahill. Cahill being chased by Ivers. Ivers dispossesses him. Rutherson Reel. Grenham picks out a pass. Well taken by Hendrick. Has support. That support coming from McCarthy. O'Kane. Was O'Kane fouled? Referee allows it to continue. Comes back Raheny's way anyway to Fenton. Shadwell. Does he want it back? He does, but he won't get it back. Here's McCarthy. James O'Kane. McHugh. Forward by Talty. Ben McHugh. O'Kane. Grenham. Grenham back to Shadwell. Fenton. It's a good surging run. It's Talty. Over carries, free out. Luke Walsh. Centre back. Colin Walsh cut onto it. Colin Walsh. Down the line, running onto it, Jack Carey. Carey turning and twisting. Trying to get away from McMahon, which is not easy to do. Carey pokes it through. And it goes wide.
Yeah, Sean McMahon there went in back as a +1 and to prevent any long deliveries going inside. As soon as the play went out the wing, he conceded that space and went out and you know, just closed down and tied him up in the corner, and there's nowhere he could go.
Glenn McNamara. O'Kane. O'Kane is Fenton ahead, has options out wide as well. He'll take it on himself. And it was a good block down, in fairness. I think that was the fullback who got there, Darren Newcombe. Running onto a Colin Walsh. Hangs it up towards Harry Ladd. Harry Ladd, he's been starved of possession in the second half. He was so effective in the first.
Put that down to the great marker Ben McHugh. He's been really, really tight. He's like in that contest every time. It's not 60-40 for Harry Ladd. It's just 50-50, and he's really tight, and you know, not conceding any frees, and he's really up for the game.
Grenham. McCarthy inside to O'Kane. O'Kane. Has McCarthy as the out ball. That's intercepted, but there was a free coming anyway. Being spoken to again is Ennis And he's already got a yellow card. It's a second yellow and a red. Well, it won't make any great difference to Lucan, and because it's a second yellow, he'll be available for the relegation playoff. But it's a bad way to end. Henley looking for his second in the silence of Parnell Park.
He just forced a little bit, cut across and wide left. The striker as well as he struck the previous one, obviously.
Unfortunately, this game not quite matching the excitement levels of what we got in both matches yesterday. It's exciting over in O'Toole Park, and it is exciting in a sense that it does have potential ramifications for Raheny. Gavin still going. Gavin going long, looking for Gallagher. The bounce just gets away from Gallagher, who, to be fair, keeps it in play and sweeps it back to Ladd. Ladd trying to get through 3 Raheny players. Eventually, just through sheer weight of numbers, they get the ball back. Grenham, O'Kane ahead. Another man further forward. O'Kane will run onto this. Remember, Lucan down to 14. Getting it under control, Malone. Malone finds his man in the corner. That man is Hendrick. Hendrick. Malone. Hendrick. Might break for Malone. Nope, just got away from him, but it falls kindly for McCarthy. Here's O'Kane. McHugh. Grenham. McHugh.
See Brian Fenton walking over a little bit gingerly, holding his back. He's going to just walk off the pitch before the game is even over.
Well, don't risk him if you don't have to. Here's Grenham. O'Kane. Finds a route through to McCarthy. Could it be goal number 7 for Raheny? Penalty. Still 1-12 cool at 12 points. Thomas Davis over in O'Toole Park, by the way.
Darren Lunny has taken penalties for Raheny this year. He's not on the pitch now, so it's got to be someone else taking the...
It's going to be Grenham. About 3 minutes to go in that game in O'Toole Park. Fenton, by the way, is on his knees getting stretched out. Here's Grenham. Good goal. Very powerful. Keeper got a hand on it, but couldn't stop it going in.
Straight down the middle, yeah. Just he got his left hand and he forced it up into the net, but there's a lot of power behind it.
Well, this is tough on Lucan, but in fairness to Raheny, they showed the respect of driving on and staying going and putting in maximum effort. Ivers, who got a hat-trick. Grenham. And that's this game. So Raheny have helped their goal difference, or their scoring difference, I should say, majorly. 7-15 to 2-6, the final score. We will wait and see what the final score is from O'Toole Park before committing to anything here. And we'll have to do a tot-up of the group as it stands between Cuala, Raheny and Thomas Davis. So as it stands, Cuala are on 4 points, Thomas Davis are on 4 points, and Raheny are on 4 points. That means it goes down to a mini-league between those three, and based on what we were told at half-time, Raheny will go through, as will Cuala, and Thomas Davis will go out. But that could change. That could change. We're still waiting for a full-time score from O'Toole Park. And there's only 28 minutes gone there because there was an injury in the first half. So they still have a few minutes to play over in O'Toole Park. So while we're waiting, let's have a look at some of the highlights of this game. There's nervousness out there. I think Raheny have done enough, but we'll wait to be certain. So this is the second half highlights. Not particularly good viewing for Lucan. It's pretty much the Rahini show. They added 4 goals in the second half through hard running and good finishing. Lunny. Here's Gallagher with the only point of the second half for Lucan. Well, after that score, Rahini just pretty much took it over. Fenton, who walked off with a back injury. Rahini will hope that that is just a precaution. Taking him off was just a precaution. Lunny pushing it home. Well set up by Fenton. Henley kicking a long ranger. A bit more backlift than we'll say the likes of Rory Beggan, but it's effective. It works. Ivers then getting in on the act yet again. This was his 3rd goal. And it was a good finish. He followed it with a point from a free. This made it 5-12 to 2-6.
This was the goal he got from one end of the pitch to the other.
Yep, that's right. Lunny scored one with the hands and one with the left boot.
Very controlled finish there.
Here's Ivers stepping up to the mark again. Guiding it home well. 6-13 to 2-6. Lucan just couldn't raise a gallop in the second half. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But Rahini were immense. And Ivers was one of the picks of the bunch, I should say, because there was a lot of Rahini players who you would say stood up today and stood out today. O'Kane did well when he came on for the second half. Slipped through to McCarthy. This is the foul for the penalty. And at this stage, the game was done. It was all about just clocking up the scores. And Grenham, could he smash it home for his first goal? Yes. Keeper got his fingertips to it, but could not keep it out. So Rahini, judging by what we know at the moment, have done enough, but they are nervously waiting. TG Carr, by the way, will be here for the second game. That will be live with them. At the moment, it is Kula 113, Thomas Davis 12 points. So I think that means that Rahini and Kula are through and Thomas Davis are going out. Having won 2 games, that seems harsh. Before we confirm what's happening here, because we're literally just sitting and waiting, what do you make of the next game, Ballantyre against Ballymont?
Yeah, well, you'd think a big game like this, an important game, that Ballymont would bring all their big game players and their aces in their pack to the occasion. But you know, there is word or rumour that they've injured players. Paddy Small is out with a bit of an injury. John Small has been nursing a bit, and James McCarthy got a knock on the All-Ireland final, hasn't fully recovered from that. So they're going to need everybody in their squad to come up and step up and you know, play really, really well to beat a Ballantyre team who are, you know, I think are coming with confidence and you know, won't shy to the occasion and know the importance of it for them and the development of the club. You know, Padraig MacDonald is in there now, like as a development coach and looking after structures of it, and Darren Chambers, former chairman, who was, you know, has done lots of good things over the last number of years. So yeah, it's a bit of a toss of a coin. I think, you know, the conditions are going to play a bit of a part. We're going to get a bit of rain that's been forecast at the moment. There's a lot of bright sunshine and it seems really, really warm. So yeah, interesting game to watch.
Interesting from Rahini. No mad celebrations of getting through, and it's looking very good for them.
Yeah, whether they're on phone calls or listening or they're on Dubs TV and listen to us to see what results are coming through. You know, it would be very strange, and I don't think that could be the case, that at 7:15 they could not go through.
Full time, by the way. Sorry to cut across you, but it's now a confirmed full time. Kula 113, Thomas Davis 12 points. So Kula and Rahini, by my calculations, are on their way to the quarterfinals, and Thomas Davis going out. But those are very quick calculations, and we'll try and confirm them. That would be harsh on Thomas Davis, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. They're the team that are always contesting these quarterfinals and semi-finals the last few years, and you know, would have been on their radar with two wins from 2 that they would get through today. but that wasn't to be. You know, 3 matches in a group stage, it's always in your own hands, and that's the way you want to keep it. And if you don't win them, you know, there's always that risk that comes into it.
Well, it was a risk that Kilmacud Crokes faced last night, having won 2 games. They were up against the Skerries team who could have beaten them, and had they lost, now I'm not sure what the exact mathematics of it were, because it didn't turn out to be the case, but it was possible yesterday that if Crokes lost, for example, they would have gone out having won 2 games. So Coola have beaten Thomas Davis in, would we say, something of a surprise in O'Toole Park? Given the talent Coola have, probably not. Conor O'Callaghan playing for them today, for example, and Mick Fitzsimons there as well.
You probably queried the scoreline that Thomas Davis put up. It's very unlike them. They normally put up big scores in the games, and you know, they previously scored 3-12 against Lucan. Now, okay, they're against the Lucan side who got 7-15 put past them today. But you know, if that's a scoreline, that's not going to win any championship match for you. So they would be disappointed with that contribution.
Okay, so 3 teams finishing on 4 points: Thomas Davis, Raheny and Coola, but of course not in that order. We're just waiting for absolute confirmation about who goes through to the quarterfinals in the go-ahead Dublin Senior Club Football Championship. This, of course, Group 3, a really tightly fought group that has gone right down to the wire. Coming up later, Ballymun against Ballantyre. You'll be able to watch that game on TG Cahir. Coleman Goggins and Marcus O'Buakla, your commentary team for that game. We'll be back with hurling next week, by the way, here on Dubs TV, and we'll have the fixture confirmation available on the social media channels and, of course, the website, dublinga.com. And you can check that out now if you want to see who's playing who and what games you'll be able to watch on Dubs TV. We'll also have the knockout stages. I'm sure TG Cahir and RTE will be interested in showing some of those games, but we'll show a few as well. You won't miss them anyway. That's for sure and certain. Don't worry about that. Before we get the absolute confirmation of the group, let's have a look at the first half goals. A first half that is, well, it's easy to forget now given the final score, but it was close enough up until maybe the 25th minute.
Yeah, as you think you called, there was a bit of a goal fest. It was 2-3 to 2-3 at one stage, and going well for both teams. The threats were numerous from Rahini, and there was only one real threat for Lucan, was Harry Ladd at that stage. I've been looking at my notes there, and you know, I've circled off who played really well for Rahini, and I have someone in every line which you'd have been happy with. Rob Henley in goal, his quick kick outs, always ready to move the ball on, and that was their intention. Ben McHugh made a big difference going to corner back on Harry Ladd, kept him very quiet. He's really tight and tenacious. Sean McMahon, number 6, held centre back if required and pushed forward if needs be. Obviously Brian Fenton at midfield. Brian Taldy should get recognition too. He got through a lot of work. And then Cian Evers half forward, and Patrick Reid again made a big contribution to full forward line. So someone in every line played really, really well for Raheny.
This is McLaughlin's goal.
This is your favourite.
Yeah, that's right, up to 7. And that's saying something because there were some good goals. So, Raheny do enough to go through. They are joined by Coola. Thomas Davis, so unfortunate to go out having won 2 games. Lucan Sarsfields go to the relegation playoff. So that is the absolute confirmation. We've told you in the last few minutes that we were 99% sure it was Raheny and Coola. I just wanted to double checked. We have done that. And it is Raheny who go through as group winners, Coola who go through in second, Thomas Davis who go out of this year's championship but retain their senior status in third, and Lucan fourth. That means they go to the relegation playoffs. And, well, it's a bad day for Lucan. They've taken a beating and they are going to the relegation playoffs. This game, it really got away from Lucan, we'll say, from the 28th minute onwards. After 26 minutes, it was 2-5 to 2-4. Then Raheny went on a 1-3 scoring burst. Gallagher got the last point of the first half. That made it 2-5 to 3-8 at half time. But they only got 1 point in the second half, Lucan, and Raheny, as you can see, piled on the scores. Right, just one last reminder. The next game between Ballantyre and Ballymun is live on TG Cahir at 4:15. If you're watching around the world somewhere that isn't the island of Ireland, that means you'll be able to watch it on GAA Go. Keep an eye out on the Dublin GAA social media channels for the next fixtures in the Dublin Senior Football Championship and indeed Senior 2 and intermediate and all that. And we'll let you know what games we'll be showing. No doubt RTE and TG Carroll will want to show some of those knockout games, because there'll be some good ones. We're back with hurling next week. The detail of that is available on the website dublinga.com, and of course you can check out the Dublin GA social media channels. Paul, thank you very much for joining us. 2 exciting games yesterday. An exciting ending to the group today, but not an exciting game here in Parnell Park. And one more exciting game to come. That's between Ballymun and Ballantyre. And I'll just say it one more time, live on TG Car. Thanks to all the team who put this together. We will talk to you next week for hurling. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.